Hi, Northwest Community Church. This is Pastor Dan coming to you with some news about reopening. Can you believe that it was a year ago, March 15th, when we canceled service? I was just laughing with someone recently that I was trying so hard to eke out that last Sunday, thinking that we could get one more in before the closure, not thinking that it was going to be a whole year. And so here we are, a year later, since we've been back in this worship space. We've done outdoor worship. We've done every imaginable sort of live streaming experience, whether it's from my basement or from the sanctuary or outdoors. But I'm here to tell you today that we have decided to partially reopen beginning on Palm Sunday, which is March the 28th. And I'll describe what I mean by partial reopening. It's not going to quite look normal for quite some time. Why reopen now, you might be asking? We actually have a surprising number of people that have already received either one or both doses of the vaccine. I've personally talked to 25 plus people that have received the vaccine, and there's probably some that I don't know about. And so we're moving along quite nicely in terms of vaccination with our members here at Northwest. And by the way, if you haven't received the vaccination, I encourage you to receive it. God has given us the gift of science, and it's amazing that we can eliminate a disease using that vaccine. So I encourage you to get it. So the vaccinations are going up, and the virus is trending down. And from the very beginning, our council and those that were on our put together kind of a little emergency committee, we decided it would be best to follow the lead of the school systems. And now we're starting to see the school systems open up at different levels. I think all three surrounding states and DC have opened up at some level. My kids will be back in class on the 15th of March. Lauren goes back a little bit later to middle school. But slowly the schools have been coming back together in some form, and so we feel like it's time to come back now that we're seeing how to do it, and we're learning from, I have been sitting in so many town halls from my kids going back to school, hearing from principals, administrators, teachers about their plans. And so I've learned just quite a bit even from that. And by the way, I've been vaccinated as well. One of my biggest fears was not that I would get the virus, but that I would transmit the virus to you in the course of ministering and serving you. And so thankful that by the time that we get back in our worship space, I'll be near fully immune based upon what the CDC says after my second shot. Now, I know that not everyone is ready to return, and I want to make sure you hear me loud and clear that that is okay. And in fact, some of you have conditions that you should not return until it's safer, or until you have the vaccine. And so I just want you to know that I respect your decision. And I want to encourage all of us at Northwest to respect each other's decisions. You don't know what conditions or family structures or exposures others might have. And so let's just be really slow to judge and not to think poorly of people that choose differently than we do. Either way. So we're going to be keeping our live stream at a high quality. I promise that to you. We've already installed the equipment here in the sanctuary so that it looks less like a TV studio and more like a sanctuary now. But we're going to keep the quality of our stream high. It'll be live, which we've been pre-recording, so you'll see an occasional snafu, but for the most part, we hope that that experience will be very similar, if not the same, as you've been having this whole time. The truth is, as we return, we're not going to have the capacity for everyone to return at the same time anyway, and so we don't know what we would do if all of you did decide to come back at the same time. So we anticipate that it'll be sort of a slow return as you grow comfortable in coming back. And so let's talk about what coming back is going to look like, because it will be very different. And so I just want you to put a new lens on when you come back to Northwest, because there's going to be some things that we all need to do and some different ways of operating. So let me describe those to you. First, we've decided to limit our sanctuary to 25% capacity. And I should say sanctuary lobby and balcony. And so we are looking at a capacity of 50 people on a Sunday morning. Now, many of those will be volunteers that sign up either through the worship team or yours truly. And so that will leave somewhere around 40 to 43 open spots available for you to reserve a spot here in the sanctuary. I'm going to show you some footage of what that's going to look like when you walk in. You're going to see X's on the pews where you're not supposed to sit, and you'll see your name with the number of seats that you've reserved for your group, your family, or yourself to come and worship in the sanctuary. 25% capacity, and how are we going to do that? We've got a reservation system. Now, believe me, I know this is different, but I implore you to just trust me and let's use this reservation system. And there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, it's the only way that we know to limit capacity. We don't want 100 people showing up and we've only got space for 50. So we want to avoid that. Second of all, we want to make sure that we can do contact tracing. If someone shows up at worship and finds out later that they have the virus, we want to be able to contact you as soon as possible. And so each and every week, 8 days before, so the Sunday before the following Sunday, the reservation system will be open for you to go and reserve how many seats you would like in the sanctuary the following Sunday. Now, we're going to ask our kids to register separately. We are going to have a children's program. We're not going to, at least for a while, we're not going to have kids in the sanctuary like we normally have in the past. Kids will go directly downstairs with Miss Dianca and an assistant for Northwest Kids. And so what's going to happen when you come, you're going to see a greeter at the door, and you're going to see a sign that says sanctuary reservations go up and Northwest Kids reservations go down. We're limiting the capacity downstairs in the large dining area to a group of 20 so that they'll be able to space out. Miss Dianca's working on more detailed protocols for our kids ministry. And thankfully, again, we have some good ideas of what that can look like now that we see what the schools are doing. And so we'll split ways at the door, and so kids will go down. Some kids may be up with you if you decide to keep them with you, but regardless, Sanctuary and Northwest Kids will remain separate. You all are now familiar with the language of pods, and so we're podding. And in addition to that separation, we're also going to ask you to use separate restrooms. And so you hopefully understand the reason why, so that if someone in the sanctuary becomes ill, it wouldn't affect our children, or vice versa. So you'll see signs on the restrooms that you can use if you're seated in the sanctuary, and the kids have a couple of restrooms in the kids' areas that they'll be asked to use. Masks are going to be required when you come into the facility. Even if you've had the vaccine, we'll continue to wear a mask until we hear the CDC tell us otherwise. But masks are still required. You'll see the bright yellow sign on all of the doors asking you to wear a mask when you come in. We do have plenty of disposable masks, and so come in and grab a mask. If you get here and forget your mask, how many times have you done that over the last year? I certainly have. Please knock on the door or tell the greeter on the outside, and we will get that mask for you. We'll have plenty here. We have the hand sanitizing stations all around, both upstairs and downstairs, and so all of those precautions are in place. So we took the survey, and we had about, I think there was 25 to 28 people that have taken the survey. We saw right at 45 to 48%. It varies every day. It moves a little bit. 45 to 48% of people said that they're ready to come back into worship. And so we also asked you what things were important. And at the top of your lists were ventilation. I think, 75% said good ventilation was one of the most important things. And we've done lots of work to get our ventilation systems ready. Now all of our systems throughout the building have hospital-grade filters, and in all but one area, we're able to draw in outside air through those ventilation systems, and that area is down in the dining area. We have the hospital-grade filters, but we'll have to open the windows to draw in some fresh air down in the children's area. So ventilation should be quite good. We can also open windows on nice days here in the sanctuary as well. But I'm encouraged that our systems are allowing us to really circulate the air with a strong frequency, so it's going to cycle through pretty quickly. So we're feeling good about that change. We're also planning on disinfecting high-touch surfaces between each group that uses our facility. We have a Spanish church and a Haitian church that will be returning at some point, and so we want to make sure that we're sharing the space well. And so right after worship, we'll have a couple of volunteers that will just take the sanitation wipes and just wipe off handrails and doorknobs and wipe down the bathroom surfaces just to make sure that we're being as clean as possible. If we do have someone that comes into the facility and becomes ill while they are here, we have a plan in place. We have an isolation room with protective gear, and each Sunday we'll have a volunteer that will be ready and prepared to help that person, call the hospital or get transportation for that person to get back home, keeping both the volunteer as well as the individual that's sick safe during that time and separate from the rest of those that are here. We also are asked to call local health officials if that should happen during a worship service, and so we've got all of those protocols in place. We have a one-page sheet. Now, some of you may look at that one-page sheet and say, great, perfect. Others will be like, well, I really want to know about, X, Y, Z in more details. We also will put the link in our e-news each week for these coming weeks with the full 3-page single-space protocols that both I and several in our church have spent quite a bit of time working to get ready for this moment. So click on that, check it out, and if you have more questions after you get your fill of COVID protocols, send us a note at the church office, connect@thenorthwestchurch.com, connect@thenorthwestchurch.com. And one last thing, it's going to require, as I said earlier, 15 to 16 volunteers on a Sunday morning. We're going to need volunteers to greet in a few different locations. We're going to need volunteers to help sanitize right after worship. It may take 30 minutes or so. A lot of our teams have been laying fallow for the last several months, and so our team structures just aren't in place right now. So we're just going to open things up. We're going to have a sign-up genius each week for you to sign up to jump in and help, and you'll see that clearly each week in the e-news. We are looking forward to being back in worship with you when you're ready to return and you're comfortable return. It's been a while, friends. I'm excited to be in this space, to actually be able to preach to somebody other than these wooden pews. This has been a tough audience in the sanctuary, so we're excited for you to come back to worship. We'll have some other information that we'll be sharing about communion and worship. We're still working on a few of those details, but I assure you we'll be ready. And again, Palm Sunday, March 28th, we're looking forward to seeing you. And if you can't be there, we're looking forward to seeing you via the live stream. Thank you for being a part of this journey with Northwest. It's been quite a year, but God has been faithful. Our engagement from our members has remained high. Our giving has remained high. And just thank you so much for remaining a part of Northwest Church through this very difficult season. Now let's take this new stage of the journey together, and it's going to be quite a journey over these next several months. So be patient with us. We need your help. Walk with us, and let's glorify God in everything that we do. Amen. All right. We'll see you soon. Have a great week. God bless you.